In this episode of the Project Management Podcast, I'll introduce you to my simple 5-step approach to determine if you qualify to take the PMP exam. Hello and welcome back to the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com. This is episode number 457 and I'm Cornelius Fichtner. Thank you for once again joining me today. Now, the Project Management Professional, the PMP exam, is not an easy exam. It is an advanced, experience-based exam that you can only take if you can successfully show that you meet certain requirements. And the one requirement that most candidates have a hard time with is the need to show that you have at least 4,500, in some cases even 7,500 hours of leading and directing projects. And even though candidates really know all the projects that they have worked on and what exactly that they have done during this project work, it's really hard for them to make the connection and say, now, all that work that I've done here, does this experience really count towards my PMP exam application? But worry no more, help is here. I have developed a simple 5-step approach so that you and everyone else can quickly verify that you qualify. What you're going to see is a recording of a live event that I did a little while back, both on Facebook and YouTube, and as always, with lots and lots of questions from the audience. Hello everyone and welcome to today's live streaming event. Do I qualify for the PMP exam? That is a question that I, as a PMP trainer, get quite often. So the intent today is to show you how to easily determine if you meet the PMP eligibility requirements. Welcome. My name is Cornelius Fichtner, and I have been a PMP trainer since about 2006, 7, 8, something like that. So quite a while. And my claim to fame is here on the screen. I am the host of the PM Prepcast, where I've helped 50,000 people prep for their PMP exam. But I also do host the Project Management Podcast. So hello to all my Project Management Podcast listeners out there who are interested in becoming PMP certified. All right. I would also like to welcome everybody here on Facebook and on YouTube. If you have any questions, please feel free to just type the questions into the comments on YouTube and on Facebook. I will bring them up. I will try and answer them live here on the air. I also have a colleague of mine, Shannon, who is joining us today, and she will be looking at your comments and answering as many as she possibly can. Here are the learning goals of today's webinar. First of all, at the end of this webinar, you will be able to name the most competent person to determine your exam qualifications. And second, in about 3 to 4 minutes from now, I will show you the recommended steps in determining whether or not you qualify to take the PMP exam. But before we get there, hi Kazim. Nice to have you back. I believe you were here last time. Somebody is joining us. Kazim is joining us here on Facebook. So let's take a look at the agenda first. What are we going to be doing? Quick introduction here. Don't worry, just a minute long or so. And then we're going to jump straight into the main topic, the qualification sections here, where I'll introduce you to the most competent person who is the person who is most competent to determine whether you qualify, and I'll show you the 5 steps to follow. Then I also want to look at a few what-if scenarios, and finally I have a couple of links for you to remember. Hello also to Osama, who also joins us here on Facebook. Okay, so here is what I'm getting. As a PMP trainer, it is not unusual that people come to me and ask me questions like this one here. Is business analyst experience considered for the PMP exam? Or this one here, does work experience as a Scrum Master count towards project management experience? Or can you please review my resume and tell me if I qualify? And then there is this one here as well. Is it safe to assume that services provided by a PMO can be treated as a project for, to qualify for the PMP exam? And this one here is also quite common. I have a total experience of 10.1 years, but my designation is Senior Software Developer. Am I eligible? So what is becoming quite clear from these few questions here is that we have confusion, uncertainty, and frustration. Okay, about, well, do I qualify? Do I not qualify? Oh, we just got another one from Tammy Cox, very similar to the ones that I just posted. Does teaching project management at the university level qualify as experience? Okay, so this is another one that I can add to the list that you have just seen. So my intent over the coming 30, maybe 45 minutes, depending on how many questions you bring up, is to show you a way out of this confusion, uncertainty, or frustration. Got another one here from Arthur. Does 35 years of military service as a senior officer translate at all? Okay. Don't worry, Arthur, by the end of this presentation, you will know exactly what to do in order to determine whether it is. Okay. So, but before we get there, let me first introduce you to the most competent person who can truly determine if you qualify. That person is, believe it or not, you. Because you know your projects best. You understand your experience best. And you know all the initiatives, all the projects that you were in charge of. No matter how long you and I jump on a phone call, there is no way that you can explain everything to me in detail, right? And that makes you the most competent person to determine whether or not you qualify for the PMP exam. Not me, not PMI, not your PMP trainer. It is indeed you. The good news, it's easy, okay? It's really easy to do this if you know what steps to follow, okay? Here they are. Okay, I developed a simple 5-step approach to take you from not knowing whether or not you qualify to being certain in a relatively short time. Okay. Oh, and one more thing quickly here. I'm going to be focusing primarily on explaining this based on somebody who is preparing for the PMP exam or considering preparing for the PMP exam. The same approach goes for whether you take the CAPM or the PMI ACP or the PMI RMP, right? The steps are exactly the same that you can see here on the screen. So you need to know the definition of a project manager. You want to download the PMP handbook, make a list of your projects, download the PMP exam content outline, and then bring all of this together. Okay, let's take a look at each of these steps one by one. But I have a step 0 here for you. And this is the step in which I'm going to tell you what not to do. Okay, that is an important step to get across. All right. Do not contact PMI and ask PMI about what your qualification is and whether you qualify, and because all PMI will give you is a relatively generic response. Okay. PMI will simply tell you, we are sorry, we cannot ascertain this. You have to first submit your application, and then during the application review process, that particular question will be evaluated by our experts, and then we will let you know. So before you submit the application, PMI won't even talk to you about whether or not you qualify. And also, do not ask your PMP instructor about whether you qualify before you go through the 5 steps here. And trust me, by the time you know and understand these 5 steps and you've gone through it, you don't have to talk to your instructor anymore. All right. Step 1. What is a project manager? That's the first thing that you have to understand. According to the PMBOK guide, the project manager is the person assigned by the performing organization to lead the team that is responsible for achieving the project objectives. Okay. Couple of important definitions here. What is the performing organization? That's the company that you work for. Okay, the performing organization, that is the company, the organization that has put you in place as the project manager. And when I say put you in place, correctly speaking, they have assigned you to lead the team on this particular project. Okay, how is this done? Sometimes this is done officially in a project charter, but here is an example, real life example. I recently hired somebody in our own company, and this is what I wrote in a Slack message to everybody. Please extend a warm welcome to Janine Farelli. Janine is reporting directly to me, and she is leading the project to help us develop the capabilities to deliver live virtual online training. This is a project that's currently actually going on. She's an actual project manager. This is the message with which I have assigned her to be the person to lead the team in order to get this project done. Okay? And let's also not forget, as the project manager, you are responsible for achieving the project objectives. Okay. Now, it says project manager here at the top of this definition. Please ignore titles. You could be called a project lead, a technical lead, a supervisor, an administrator, a director, a team lead, whatever it is. Ignore the title, because the title is unimportant. What's important is the work that you do, the responsibility you have. Also, ignore the job role. Okay, the L and E there is covered by the logo. Apologies for that. So ignore the job role, and you could be an executive assistant, a director of something. You could be a librarian. Okay, and just okay. So this may be a funny thing, but I recently had somebody who came to me and said, "I am a professional cake decorator. Do I qualify for the PMP because?" Okay, so in this particular situation, you may laugh and go, well, a cake decorator, it's not up to me or up to you to decide whether this person is a project manager. It's up to this person to decide, yes, I qualify because I've gone through Cornelius's 5 steps. So a librarian, a web designer, a bookkeeper, HR assistant, a sales manager, it doesn't matter what your job role is, what your title is, as long as you are the person assigned by the performing organization to lead the team that is responsible for achieving the project objectives. If you look at this and you go, that's actually not me. There are 3 people above me who do this. I am just responsible, I don't know, for the schedule. I do the admin. I am more of a coordinator. Well, then you already know you probably don't qualify because you don't meet this particular definition here. So in the end, it doesn't matter what your job role is, right? What is your role on the project? Think of this one first. So much for step 1. Step 2. You want to download the PMP handbook. PMI has published a PMP Credentials Handbook. It's simply known as the handbook, and you can download this from their website, and I will have a link for you at the end. I think that's one of the 2 links that I have for you at the end. The handbook explains everything that you want to know about the process of taking the PMP exam and becoming PMP certified, and it should be the first 20 minutes that you truly spend, right? This handbook is very important. In particular, on page 6 of this handbook, you will find the basic eligibility requirements, and without meeting those, you cannot take the PMP exam. Here they are. A little bit of a summary here, the basic eligibility requirements. If you have a 4-year degree from a school, a university, or if you have a high school or an associate's degree, makes a big difference, okay? For a 4-year degree, you need 36 months of experience leading projects, and you have to have 35 hours of project management training. If you only have a high school or an associate's degree, then you need 60 months of experience leading projects, but you still need the 35 hours of project management training. Oh, and just to be clear, okay, this is not one is better or the other. Me, for example, I fall into the high school or associate's degree category. I had to show 60 months of project management experience when I applied for my PMP exam. So one isn't better than the other. It's just different eligibility requirements. So you must meet those requirements that you see here on the screen. If you do not meet these, you cannot even apply for the PMP exam. PMI will not let you submit your application. Okay. And there is one more thing. Those 60 and 36 hours of experience leading a project, they must have been accrued within the last 8 consecutive years prior to your application submission. So if you look at this and you go, you know what? I led all these great projects 10 and 12 years ago. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, they don't count anymore. You have to have the experience in the last 8 years. 8 years and a day, it's out of the eligibility period. It must be within the last 8 years. Okay, important for step 2. Don't start adding things up yet, okay? At this point, I don't want you to go, oh, I need to calculate this. No. I just want you to understand the basic requirements for now. We'll start counting in step 5. All right, that takes us to step 3. At this point, I want you to make a list of all your projects, of all the engagements that you were the project manager in. Remember, you know, the person assigned by the performing organization to lead the team and deliver the project benefits and results, okay? Something like that. I don't know it by heart, right? So that's what you want to make a list of. And your project list, this could be a mental list just in your head, or you take out a notepad or you know, an electronic notepad or in paper and you write them down, or go ahead and update your resume, right? That's a good moment to do that, or update your LinkedIn profile. The idea behind doing this is at the end of this step, you have a mental work experience to review and answer this question here. What was the work that I did on each of my projects? Okay, you understand, you remember, you're going to go, oh, there was another project that I did. Granted, it was only a small one for 3 months, but I nearly forgot about that. Okay, and without doing this list, you won't know it. So all projects are noted, no projects are forgotten. You may be tempted to think, hey, come on, I know my projects, right? I don't have to do this. Well, really, remember, 8 years ago is a long time, right? And especially if you have to list 60 months of project experience, right, which I had to do. I had to really dig deep and figure out, okay, how many hours did I work on these projects and all that. So at this point, let me caution you and give you this advice here for step 3. Don't rush it. Don't skip it. Okay. This is really a step that you have to go through. You have to take a few minutes and think about this and list your project to make sure that you clearly remember all the projects that you had worked on. Okay. Step 4. Now I would like you to download the PMP Exam Content Outline. The PMP Exam Content Outline, that's the document that PMI has published that defines what the PMP exam is all about. Okay, this is sort of the syllabus of the PMP exam, if you would like. The exam content outline, the ECO, lists tasks that a project manager normally works on. Okay, so this is what you as the project manager are usually responsible for on a project. And then on the real PMP exam, each exam question that you will see is mapped back to these tasks. So here is also the good news. By doing this, by looking at this ECO and analyzing it, we'll get there in just a second, you have a much better understanding about what's going to be on the PMP exam. Most people don't even know that the ECO exists. They think the PMP exam is a test of the PMBOK guide. Far from it. The PMP exam is a test of what the ECO says the PMP exam will test you on. Okay? So once you have downloaded it, here's what you need to do. You need to understand, review these tasks, and we're now doing a honest self-assessment. I think it's about 35 tasks, something like that, in the new ECO for the 2021 exam. And you have to ask yourself, have I performed the majority of these tasks as part of my project manager responsibilities? Here's an easy way to do this, right? Print it out, take a highlighter, green, yellow, red, and then go through this. And this is what you may end up with, right? You'll end up with a printed ECO that looks something like this, and that's perfectly okay, right? Some of these are red because, okay, this is just an example that I created, obviously, for this presentation here. But even if I look, excuse me, if I look at the ECO today, there are some tasks in there that I'm going, I've never done this. You know, I've been a project manager, a project management trainer for years and years, decades, but I have never done this. That's perfectly okay. Not everybody works on all aspects of a project, but the important thing is you want to make it green for those that you have, yellow for those that you sort of, and red for those that you haven't, so that hopefully the majority of what you have in there is green. Okay. Step 5, let's bring all of this together. Okay. So we now understand what the project manager definition is. We understand the basic eligibility requirements with the experience and the training hours that you have. You have a list of your projects. You remember them quite well. Based on the list of your projects and your understanding, you went through the ECO task and you said, okay, this is green, this is yellow, this is red, green, 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 hopefully all of it, right? And at the end, when you look at the ECO with all those colors, you can hopefully say, yeah, you know what? I do qualify. Okay, this is truly it. I've gone through these 5 steps. I qualify. This is it. Most of the ECO for me is green. Right? Yeah, and I know definitely at this point you are going to say, wait a second. It can't be that easy, right? If it were that easy, why are so many people out there confused? Well, because nobody told them that there are 5 easy steps, and at the end of these 5 easy steps, you can do this. But yeah, it is seriously that easy. And to show you proof, I actually have a case study for you that is less than 3 weeks old. Let's take a look at this. Okay. The case study is with a student whom we are going to call Olivia. And we're going to call her Olivia because that's her actual name. Okay, so with Olivia, I had a 20-minute phone call. I walked her through the steps and explained to her what it is that she will have to do. And we also discussed the project manager definition and the basic eligibility requirements. And she then confirmed, yeah, I have that. That is truly me. Okay. Then she went through the 5 steps again, and especially, step 3, 4, and 5 with the project list and ECO and bringing it all together and all that. And then she wrote back to me and said, hey, I just finished going through the PMP exam content outline as you suggested, and I would say that I qualify. Okay. Perfect. So I've helped somebody to be able to understand this on her own and figure out her own qualification. And I also asked her, how long did it take you? And she said, took me about 30 minutes to go through all the tasks in the exam content outline. Okay, got it. So she qualifies, but what if you go through these 5 steps and you come out with it at the end and you say, you know what? I don't actually qualify. What do I do now? Okay. In this particular instance, if you don't qualify now, that is the moment when you want to reach out to your PMP instructor and your peers, and you want to confirm your result. Okay. You want to make sure that you are indeed correct with what you have found. Okay. If you're still find, okay, everybody says, yeah, you don't qualify, then go ahead, create a plan, develop a plan, and implement the plan to remove your roadblock. Now, it's of course very hard for me to give any more guidance than saying, implement a plan to remove the roadblock, because everyone's story is different. One person may simply say, oh, I don't have 35 hours of training. Well, that's easy, get 35 hours of training. Another person says, well, I don't even have a high school diploma. Okay, that happens. Well, then how do you get a high school diploma or an associate's degree? Okay, you got to work towards that. Another person says, I only have 50 months of experience. Well, you got to wait for another 10 years. So everyone is different. Everyone needs to have the plan based on their own needs, based on their own requirements. At this point, you could also think to yourself and say, well, what about alternative certifications? What about the Certified Associate in Project Management from PMI? That only takes 23 hours of training, I believe. What about the PMI Agile Certified Practitioner, right? Maybe you have enough Agile experience to qualify for that. Or what about a Certified Scrum Master? Don't just focus on PMI. Go outside of PMI as well and look at what other institutions offer. Okay, so that's what you need to do if you determine that you do not qualify. And by the way, I'm checking the comments here on Facebook and YouTube, and normally, I get a lot of questions from people, and so far, nobody has posted any additional questions. So I'm very happy that pretty clear here. Okay, so very, very nice to know that my steps seem to be leaving you without any questions. Okay, so here's another what-if scenario. This is the what-if scenario. What if PMI says that you don't qualify? Okay, so you've gone through the 5 steps that we've looked at, and then you said, you know what? Yeah, I qualify. This is all great. You're going to fill in your PMP application. You're going to send it off, and then PMI turns around and says, you don't qualify. Now what? Let's take a look at what options you have here. First of all, analyze PMI's decision. In most cases that I know of, PMI said you don't qualify because of a formal issue. That is quite normal. Okay, having a formal issue that PMI says, nah, you don't qualify is quite normal here. And what you then want to do is you want to fix that formal problem and you want to resubmit the application. Okay, what do we mean by formal rejection by PMI? Here is one such rejection text that you may receive. We are unable to ascertain from the project descriptions that you have provided if you served in the capacity on the project per the aforementioned role definition. Note that they don't say that you served as the project manager. They say as the aforementioned role definition. Okay, even they understand that you don't have to be called a project manager to qualify for the PMP exam. It's all dependent on, what is your role in the project. So then you have to go back and you have to fix this issue right here. Another potential text is this here, right? Project descriptions should be documented clearly enough to ascertain whether or not the projects truly are, the documented projects are truly projects, okay? And PMI even gives you a reference to the PMBOK guide where you can look up where you will be able to see what the definition of a project is. Has a finite beginning and end and delivers specific benefits, results, or outcomes. That's so pretty much sort of a high level what a project should be. Okay. Well, what if it's not a formal rejection? All right. In that particular case, you have to understand the certification appeals procedure. And now we come into, this is the 0.001% of people who go through this, okay? And this is very hard to even give any recommendations other than you need to understand the certifications procedure, you need to look into the PMP handbook for that, and what you always want to do is, can I speak to someone on the phone, please? There is somebody at PMI who has rejected your application. Ask PMI if you can speak to that person to understand the reasoning and get to the bottom of this, because based on your understanding, you qualify. Everything should be correct, okay? And in most cases where my students and other trainer students have reached out to PMI and spoken to somebody on the phone, they were given an alternate route and said, okay, I want you to do this and submit it again, and then we can approve it, okay? So it's always good to speak to somebody at PMI. Okay, I see a couple of questions coming in here. Let me finish this slide and then we'll take a look at this, at them. Once you understand what everything is, you want to appeal PMI's decision, you want to submit your documentation, whatever it is that you agreed upon, and unless they are right, if they come back and they tell you, here is why we are declining you, and you have to go, yeah, you know what, they're right. I have to admit, they are right. This is, I don't qualify based on this argument here. Then, keep at it. Unless you have to agree with PMI, keep at it, keep hounding them, keep going back, keep talking to them, keep the appeals procedure going, because, if you feel that you qualify, then you should qualify. And PMI has to see the light, so to speak, from your perspective. All right, couple of questions. The first question, can you share the resource links you mentioned? I can. Let me do that right now. Okay, so the first link that we have is the link to download the handbook. Which step was that again? I think that was step 2, if I remember correctly. Okay, the PMP handbook is in step 2, pm-prepcast.com/PMPHB, as in PMP handbook. Okay, obviously, if you are planning to apply for the PMI ACP certification, then you need this ACP handbook. And you also need the ACP outline there in step 4, I believe that was, right? This is where all the tasks are listed. Okay. And let's see, I have another question here coming in from Osama. I have a question I have about to do with PMP exam since I already booked my exam next month, but I still feel not enough confident to pass the exam. However, I did do practice exam from your website and I got about 65%. Osama, to be very honest with you, this is not good enough. 65% in our exam simulator is, statistically speaking, not good enough to pass the PMP exam. Okay, you need to be above 70%. 75% is best to get through the exam. At 65%, your chances of passing the exam are about 50-50. Okay, depending on the questions that you will get on your PMP exam. So you need to continue to practice, you need to continue to study in order to prep for, or to get ready for the PMP exam. Okay, got it. Let's see, that's pretty much it right there. Okay, now let me take you back, because we are here at the end of the presentation right now, and I'm just giving it a minute or so to see if we have any other questions. Okay, Osama asks follow-up questions. What is your recommendation since I have 1 month? Okay, so you have 1 month between now and taking your PMP exam. Really quite simple. Continue taking sample exams in the exam simulator. Maybe you take a short quiz, 50 questions only, right? That's roughly an hour, something like that. Once you are done, I want you to spend at least an hour reviewing, okay? You spend, I'm gesticulating here, you don't even see me. So if you spend an hour, 1 hour, taking questions in the exam simulator, you want to spend 1 to 2 hours reviewing those questions. Why did I get them wrong? Look at the answers, look at the explanations. Go back to the PMBOK guide. All our questions have a reference right there. Go to that reference, read up, learn from your mistakes. That is the only way forward. Okay. Does public transport operation, mass transit project experience count for the PMP exam? Mohammed, you may have come too late, but frankly, if you go through the 5 steps that I have just introduced to you, you can answer that question yourself, because the question your task is to look at what you actually did on those public transport projects and compare them to the exam content outline. If you can truly say, yes, the projects that I did here on these public transport projects matches what the exam content outline wants me to do as a project manager, you're good to go, okay? I cannot make that ascertainment for you. You have to do that yourself. Okay, wonderful. I think we are done at the end. Okay, let me go back here and bring up, sorry, I forgot to add, this should have been at the end. Let me go back to the overview here. Eventually we'll get to it. Let's see, I want to bring up those, there we go, the 5 easy steps. Whew, okay, so once again, in closing, in order to determine whether your projects, whether your experience qualified, then you need to know the definition of a project manager. You need to download the PMP handbook in order to understand the minimum eligibility requirements. Then you want to make a list of your projects so that you know exactly what it is you worked on in the last 8 years. You want to download the PMP exam content outline, because that's what defines what's going to be on the PMP exam and what you will be measured against. And then you want to take that exam content outline, green, yellow, and red markers, and highlight everything. And now, step number 5, you want to bring it all together, because now you yourself have the ability to determine, do I qualify? Does my experience qualify? Yes or no? Okay. All right. Now I'm getting a few questions here that are, there we go, from Ithera. Is there anything as being over-prepared? Yeah, you know, there probably is. So if you have like 5 books and 3 exam simulators and taken 16 courses, you are definitely over-prepared. At this point, you know, if you still want to take your exam in 2020, you know, you can still start it right now and take your exam in December. It's going to be crunch time, but it's still possible. But if you go into an exam simulator and, you know, you get whatever the exam simulator recommends is the percentage you should be at, then you can take your exam simulator and use that as a measure right there. Okay. Davian asks, for those who have finished 35 contact hours, is attempting to take the test before the end of the year, before the exam change, even possible? Of course, yes, especially if you already have the training, okay? If you already have the training, there are 2 things that you may want to do in order to get your exam done before the end of the year. And that is, number 1, get an exam simulator. That is the number 1 tool that will help you pass your PMP exam. And number 2, take another good look at the PMBOK guide, okay? And then take questions in the exam simulator to see where am I at. And if you see in the exam simulator, based on whatever statistics that the company gives you that sells it, then of course you now know, okay, I'm good, I can take the exam, and then you go ahead and you can schedule your exam. Okay, and if you are looking, pmexamsimulator.com, if you are looking for my exam simulator, then please go to pmexamsimulator.com. And by the way, we do have a discount coupon. Just search for Prepcast Simulator discount coupon and you'll find it. Okay. Davian, you continued, including the application process is the examination. I don't know if the current material is worth studying for. Okay. Well, Davian, you just said you already have your 35 contact hours. That means you do have the training. Okay. So if you do have the training, then start your application right now, because your application would roll over into 2021, right? This is not an application for the 2020 exam. It's an application for the exam. Doesn't matter when you take it. So if they accept you, if you can get the application completed this year, go ahead and take it this year. Definitely, definitely. Okay. Here we go. Could you arrange another session on the changing happening about the new PMBOK guide? Guess what? I believe that's next week. Yes, I can see Sharon. I have Sharon on a video feed here locally. She goes, yay, yes, yes, yes. So, Muhammad, let me give you a little preview. In about a week from today, potentially tomorrow in a week, we are going to be holding a PMP Exam 2021 session, okay, where I'm going to be talking specifically to the 2021 PMP exam so that you can see what the new exam is all about. And great, wonderful. I'm glad that this is helping. Okay, we are a little over time. I said this was going to be half an hour. We're only 33% over, just like with every normal project. A bit over time here. All right, everybody. Once again, let me bring up these 5 steps and get Muhammad out of the way. Know the definition of a project manager, download the PMP handbook, make a list of your projects, download the exam content outline, highlight green, yellow, red, and then bring it all together. And at the end of these 5 steps, you know for certain that you qualify or that you don't qualify, and then you know what to do. You have a means of addressing your defects. You can make a plan and work towards covering that. All right, that's it for today's session on do I qualify for the PMP exam, with these 5 steps here that will help you get there. All right, thank you everybody for joining us today, and until next time. And there you have it, my simple 5-step approach to determine if you qualify for the PMP exam. Step 1, know the definition of a project manager. Step 2, download the PMP handbook. Step 3, make a list of your projects. Then download the exam content outline. And number 5, bring it all together to see that you qualify. Please visit pm-podcast.com for show notes, transcripts, and PDU information. Our email address is info@pm-podcast.com. And finally, we have this. Education is what they equip you with, just in case that your dreams don't work out. Until next time.